future, and its name is Marco.
Welcome back, everybody, to Hoot Loot, a Hoot Entertainment Markonomics 101 production. We have a great show planned for you today, a terrific show. It's June 10th, 2022, and the show is called, oh, by the way, you come here to be informed, be amused, never be misled. This is the fact zone where we have facts to tell you, but not necessarily opinions. You can form your own, but we give you the facts. Sometimes we tell you what we think, or we lead you through an argument, but the facts are ultimately up to you as to what you do with them. In a half an hour, you can get more facts here than you can get from any other source that I know of. And so thank you for being here and allowing me to fill you in. Now, today's show is called Elon the Felon's Messla and the bear market growls again. And Elon, I'm not his biggest fan, I have to admit. And a lot of people are. I'm going to get more hate mail because of it. But there are things you should know. I don't think it should make you hate him necessarily, but you should know them and form your own opinions after that. With that, we're about to go and start with the first chart. Please like and subscribe if you would. 100 of you came in last week. Thank you so much. We'll see you in a second. Welcome back. We're going to have so much for you. It's going to be amazing. The first one is we have changed lexicons to not the canaries in the coal mine. We're still going to have those. Although I want to change that lexicon too. That kind of is overused. But nonetheless, we have the password formerly known as Bitcoin. And the reason I call it a password is because it is a password. It does not exist. It basically exists in people's minds, which is what Warren Buffett has said, Jamie Dimon has said, and I've been saying for as long as I can think of. And that's a long time. I can think of a long time ago. But, can you imagine a reason that an entity would not allow you to regain access to funds after losing a password or some ID? What if a bank actually told you if you lost your PIN or forgot it, we're keeping your money? That's basically the same thing, okay? There's no business that does this out there. As a matter of fact, all of the cryptos do it out there. Bitcoin is the model for all of them. So it's like, I thought maybe one of them didn't do it, so it gave you a little safety. Oh no, all of them do it. Anyway, Bitcoin's in a bear flag right now, and I'm going to show you another 5-year chart coming up. But I think that Bitcoin is headed for 20,000, 21,000 is its next stop, something on that order. And Ethereum, which we talked about during the week, has also broken down. I'll talk about that too. The other thing we're going to talk about is what Bitcoin's purpose is, and that is to generate large trading commissions for all those trading platform firms. Okay? So with that, we're going to go on to our second canary. It's actually 2 out of 3 canaries in one coal mine. I put ARK versus Renaissance IPO, which both have a correlation of 99%. The reason is they both invest in stupid stocks. And stupid stocks are correlated to other stupid stocks. Okay? Like Bitcoin, the password. All right. I may have a coronary here if I get too excited. Okay, so let me just calm down for a second and we'll get it. Okay. So Renaissance IPO looks incredibly identical, and they made the nice round trip. Now, I admit, Kathy, knock on wood, has kind of, also, someone could probably accuse me of some bias, a little bit of bias. But you know why? Because she was so proud of herself on the way up. She thought it was her skill, her incredible skill that got her so great returns. No, you just got lucky. You invested in stupid stocks, and it just so happened stupid stocks went up. When I was a hedge fund manager, the real way, we were measured as something called alpha and beta. Alpha is the amount of value return that you add by virtue of your own stock selection. For example, if you were long stocks and short stocks at the same time of the same risk, if you made a positive profit, you generated alpha. And apparently they're looking at whether she generates any or not. And from this, it doesn't look like it, because IPO is, from what I understand, it is run by a bunch of monkeys who throw darts at a dartboard. And that's what they pick. Not exactly. I mean, I'm just kind of kidding about that. But it is very systematic. It's an index. It's tied to an index. There is no manager that I know of at this moment. All right, the third canary is the whole title of the show, the Messla on the Felon's Messla. And I'm going to talk about a lot more in just a minute. But first, let me say that he has a comment on everything. from depopulation to Bill Gates to this guy to that guy to this issue to that issue. Meanwhile, he's being sued by everybody, and boy, he's about to have a meltdown if he hasn't had one already. So, I feel like giving him another smack, but I won't. So we're going to go on in a second to all the reasons, some of this stuff you don't know, and it is care of an auto magazine. So there actually is a real source to it. All right, I'm going to tell you about what it's like, apparently, to work for Elon the Felon at Messla. Okay, because he has apparently some rules, and they've been reported to in Auto Magazine. We'll get the source for you. But I didn't make these up. I've never worked for the guy. But, some of these are unbelievable. For example, you can't complain about working conditions. Okay, that is verboten, number one. And somewhere down there, you can't work 40 hours a week. That's too little because Elon works 120 a week. So you can't ask for a weekend off. You can't wear cologne, which is pretty funny. You can't ask for an employee discount. You can't report, and you can't call an ambulance. You can't report a working accident at the factory. Okay, so you are basically required to break the law if you want to work for Elon Musk. And this is the guy that wants free speech. You have to sign an NDA when you work for him. He doesn't believe in any kind of free speech. He believes that these are the kind of laws that he wants his employees to follow that you're looking at. Sign a non-disclosure. Make sure that any conversation is one-ended, meaning that you have to listen to what the great leader has to say. Just kind of listen to it. And you have to leave a meeting immediately if you're not wanted, or if you're not directly involved. And you can use no jargon and wear no cologne or perfume. Maybe it interferes with his blunt smell or something like that. I don't know. But that's what it's like to work for the guy. So think about that, and we'll go on to the next, the part about, is Tesla the next MySpace? It is. Hint, it is. So I'm going to say something that is so controversial that I can't imagine the hate mail I'm going to get. But I have a feeling Tesla may become the next MySpace. And for those of you that are old enough like me, before Facebook and Meta platforms, as it's now called, which we will talk about later, MySpace was the dominant company in the social media factory. I don't know why I said factory. I wasn't even thinking about a factory. But in any event, MySpace was dominant. Facebook took it over, and between the Winklevi and all their fighting and all that kind of stuff, he took it over. And MySpace is now relegated to I don't even know if it exists anymore. Someone I heard bought it for like $3 million. It was probably worth billions at one time. So I don't know. I had no idea what happened. But the same thing could happen to Tesla. And the reason is this. Okay, the reasoning goes like this. 75% of the EVs produced are Teslas. Okay, that's a wonderful number. The problem is there are hundreds of competitors coming up. Porsche has a competitor. Audi has a competitor. The luxury competitors that are already out are really mind-boggling when you look at them. And he's banked it all on full self-driving autopilot capability. There's a senator running against him, against his full self-driving feature. Okay, a guy named O'Dowd is running for senator based on that. I've seen the commercials; they're pretty amazing. Tesla has 14 times more crashes on autopilot than the rest of the EV manufacturers combined who have this feature. Okay, 14 times more. That's pretty bad. And Waymo is already operating, which is a subsidiary of Google, is already operating robotaxis. And General Motors has a subsidiary running and operating a small pilot version of robot taxis. As a matter of fact, most of the executives that have left, and boy, he's had a revolving door of executives, they've gone to start other EV companies, or they've joined other existing EV companies. All that technique and skill has been disseminated out there, and he's left with technology that they call outdated, that nobody wants to use the same technology he's using because it's yesterday's news. I'm just telling you what I've read, what I've seen, what I've heard, and you can make your own decision. But he also has another problem, and that is, how does he spend his 120 hours? It looks like he tweets all day long. And he's got the SpaceX company and the Boring company, the one that makes the tunnels through rocks and stuff like that. oh my God, another government company. And he's got Neuralink and Starlink and Autolink and, I don't know. You get the drift. And he still wants Twitter. He really does want it. He just wants it for free, or 420. Maybe he wants it for 420. Okay, for 4.20 for it. I don't know. We'll see. But he is not exactly what you think of him. For example, I'll give you one example of one of his encounters with Bill Gates. Another person I haven't spoken very highly of. He encountered Bill Gates at some kind of climate conference, and he said Bill Gates asked him if they could get together to discuss climate change. And Elon said, are you still short $500 million in my stock? And Gates responds back with something like, well, what does that have to do with anything else? And no, I'm not. And I don't blame him. And Musk says, how can I possibly work with somebody who shorts my stock and doesn't believe in climate change? He views shorting his stock as a disbelief of climate change. There's a reason to short his stock, and that is because it's overvalued. However, I wouldn't do it. Okay, I really wouldn't do it. You'll get your head bitten off. And with that, we'll go on to the regular charts. All right, so I'm going to go on to the indices right now, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the bear market growling. It's gone into a sort of a second phase, and I think most people are praying that it won't be as bad as if the first phase was. Then they're hoping it's over. I don't think so. I think it's going to get a lot worse. The Fed is in a real bind. And there are a lot of bad-looking charts out there, and a lot of things that have so far held up look like they're going to come down with it. This is likely to be really the most brutal part of this bear market is coming ahead of us. That's what right now, that is sort of my school of thought. But we'll see as new circumstances come up every day, new information comes available every day, it adjusts. So we'll see. Now, the Dow Jones Industrials had a really bad day and a bad week last week. And it's still looking good to go to our target, at least at 28,000. And that's pretty good when you think about it, because that'll only be like a 20% or 15% loss, whereas some lost like 99%. So, consider yourself lucky if you're invested in the Dow right now. They have 4 drug companies. They've got Chevron. So they have some companies that are helping them out a little bit. Oh, and McDonald's and Coke, who can pass on price increases of food. Okay? So they're pretty well insulated from all that stuff. All right, so let's go on to the NASDAQ 100. Now, we're using our little rule of thumb here, and we're going to use it in other charts because it seems to have been remarkably accurate. More accurate than I would have guessed. I still call it a rule of thumb. Thumb. All right, which reminds me of that Rolling Stone song, Under My Thumb. Under my thumb. Oh, sorry about that. Let's get back to the charts. Okay, so in any event, the NASDAQ 100 is made rounded top after rounded top after rounded top. And if you look at the formula is the distance between the top of the dome and the horizontal line equals the distance between the horizontal line and its next leg down. So in other words, you multiply the distance by 2, subtract it from the top of the dome, that's what you get. NASDAQ 100, you get 9,500. Okay, 9,500. We still have a long way to go. And that's only a target for the second move. It could go a lot lower than that, and it's still only a rule of thumb, like that. All right, I'm glad you understand what a thumb means. All right, because sometimes I forget. I have like this Tourette's thing that goes on every time I have to watch cable news. For you all, I sit there and put my life in danger and make sure you guys are taken care of, and it causes me my Tourette's syndrome. Okay. In any event, we're going to keep going on here. Okay, now the S&P 500 weekly, this is also looking pretty crappy. I mean, let's face it, this looks like a bear market resuming and maybe even accelerating. Okay, it doesn't look anything like a new bull market or a rally or anything like that. It looks terrible. And this is another one. Target here has been about 3,600. We'll see what happens. The S&P and Dow will hold up pretty well relative to other things. Because they're indexes and they're made of a bunch of things that are worth a lot, and so there's no stupid stocks in there. Let me put it that way. Okay, the small cap index is very indicative of a lot of the smaller stocks, and it took a big leg down too last week and on Friday. So you can this is being confirmed. The bear market accelerating is being confirmed by all of the indexes. There's not one going up while the others are going down. They're all going down. They're all going down. This time, everything looks like it's going down. Every single thing I've looked at. Except, if you want to go short or an inverse ETF, those may go up. I don't know. Who knows? But we'll see. All right. And finally, we have the Dow Jones Transportation Average. These are the folks that ship goods around, goods that we don't have, by the way, because our store shelves are empty and our ports are jammed. And boy, what a great bunch of politicians we have and those great policies they have. And that's why I have this shirt. Vote on all the incumbents. And the reason for the bell is to ding them out of office. And don't do that in your classrooms, kids, because you might get in a little trouble. But, don't tell me about it, okay? And let's go on. Okay. Now we're going to go to the most complicated chart, and I really tried to uncomplicate it for you. I really did. Unfortunately, it's indicative, so I want to use it, but it's complicated, so I don't want to use it. But I'm going to try to explain it to you in a way that isn't like a bunch of jargon and all that in psychobabble. Although I do babble sometimes. All right, so this is the volatility index. If you're at all involved in the market, you've heard about the volatility index or the VIX. What it measures is the amount of daily absolute movement in a particular asset. So you have wide swings, wide days, and that's caused by different levels of liquidity. Then you have high volatility. Market bottoms are marked by high volatility. As a matter of fact, if you look at this chart, the two major bottoms of the last 20 years, the VIX went all the way up to 85. All the way up to 85 and exactly marked the bottom. I knew this was the bottom when it hit 85, and I even said so. It's on the record, as a matter of fact, because I have said blogs and posts and things like that. 85, it's a magic number for this, so maybe it won't, I don't know if it'll keep working or not, but so far it's been pretty damn accurate. Now, if you also look at the black dashed line, that is a VIX of 45, okay? Now, 45, you have like minor bottoms at 45, so you need to, 85 is like a washout and a panic. 45 is people are just damn scared, okay? So you kind of need a little bit of that to make the market move up, because the market moves up when bears turn to bulls, and it moves down when bulls turn to bears. So you have to have that going on for it to happen. Now, if you look at the VIX, it got as low as 23 last week. This is, this market's going down. That is not the sign that there's going to be a rally. Not one bit. So, so the bear market's growling, and this is a little piece of evidence of it. All right. So, one of the reasons, of course, is inflation. We're going to have to talk about that today too, because the bear is growling on the inflation front, and that's another problem. Thank you very much, professional politicians. Vote out the incumbents and make America laugh again. What do you say? All right. Thank you. And by the way, if you'd like to give a donation, we're passing around a hat back there. Okay. This is the CRB Index of Commodities, and this one has made new highs, and this one's been around forever. And, right now, you cannot be thinking that inflation yet has peaked at all, because this gives you no evidence that it has. The only thing you can start to think is that the acceleration in inflation is slowing down. So maybe it's going through that rounded top kind of thing where it's starting to slow down on the way up, or it will soon. But it's not peaked yet. It hasn't peaked yet. This is evidence of it right there. Now, if we look at a lot of the reasons are apparently food issues. And investors, in my opinion, there's evidence that investors have panicked and that they've overshot, the actual shortage of, foodstuffs out there. And the evidence of it is an ascending wedge, which is a sign of, just really panicked, I got to get into it type of trading, followed by a bear flag, which is kind of the same thing. So this thing has gone up by a major amount, has two bearish patterns, and everybody thinks food is about to end. There will be no food on this planet after this year. And of course that's not going to happen. It's just going to be a little crisis here and there. There's not going to be an end to the food. There's always droughts somewhere. There are always problems somewhere with getting wheat and crops and corn and all that. It's a world market. It's not just two countries. Although they're two pretty important countries when it comes to wheat. But that's only one little piece of, what we eat. Corn is a big piece, and they're a big piece of corn, come to think of it. And corn is in what looks like a head and shoulders or around the top. Again, this signals some deceleration of the uptrend. Deceleration, not necessarily an end to it. The livestock index also has been, kind of in a bear flag, but within a rounded top. And, I know people are eating less steak. They're eating less, pigs and all that kind of stuff. So this is a demand issue. The price might be going up because there's no supply. I mean, these guys have to go to work and wear the stupid masks all the time. So, of course, they don't want to go to work, and they get paid enough to stay home anyway. So, in any event, livestock is another one that is kind of not going up so fast. So, before, I'd look like at 30 charts of these, and they're all like accelerating. So you knew there had to be a big burst of inflation, and we said so more than a year ago, called Inflation Nation. You can look it up. It's on the record, okay? They're talking about it now as though it's a problem. I talked about it then because it was coming, and it was going to be a problem. Whew. Okay, chill out. Okay, I was getting too excited about that. Okay, shh. All right. Now, so anyway, in any event, we're onto soybeans, and soybeans have broken up. So this particular food is breaking up. Soybeans is important because it's a source of plant protein. So this is broken up. Okay. Now, but sugar, on the other hand, I won't sing the song this time, though I want to so much. Sugar's kind of in a triangle. I would say that sugar will break up if we have a bad problem, breaks down if we don't have a bad problem. We'll see. I mean, this is going to be very indicative because sugar's everywhere. It's in everything. Even things that you don't think have sugar in them have sugar in them. Okay, and here's wheat, of course, and it doesn't look that good. Despite the fact that the breadbasket of the world, Ukraine, Russia, USA, have problems, with wheat exports, or are responsible for most of them, wheat looks like it made a double top, and it actually is coming down a bit, and maybe it got a little overshot in the first place. And that's kind of what this thing looks like to me. And the base metals are really indicative of the economy. They're like, copper, lead, zinc, and all that kind of stuff. And these are broken down from a long-term uptrend line. That is bad. A recession is not, it's just beginning. It's been here already all year. I keep hearing how, the economy is still strong, the consumer is still strong, blah, 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 blah. We're in a recession. We're in a recession. Here's your evidence, or some of it. All right, Alcoa, here's another company. It's the aluminum is the number one exporter of aluminum is China, and USA is the number one importer. Ugh, that doesn't bode well, does it? Well, it broke down from a bear flag, and this is a very important company, and it's not doing as well. Copper miners ETF, Dr. Copper is actually somewhat neutral, although on Friday he sounded very sick. He was getting very sick there. You can see that little big dive down. So we may just see Dr. Copper take it on the chin and the economy with him. All right, cotton. Healthy uptrend right here. This is kind of one of those, core CPI type of things. The CPI, the Consumer Price Index, they usually want to report it X food, X energy, because we don't drive, we don't get transported, and we don't eat. So it's everything else like peanut butter sandwiches and cotton and bananas. And that's pretty much the basket that they use. Cotton, on the other hand, is doing pretty well. It's in a well-defined uptrend. It's not too drastic. It's not parabolic. It looks like it could be sustainable. But we'll see. Lumber is absolutely taking it on the chin. This thing has gone from 200 to 1700, back to 200, and now it's back to 1200. Now it's back to God knows what. All I know is there was a shortage. There's a surplus. There's a shortage. There's a surplus. We have an inventory. We don't have an inventory. Lumber's going down. There's a surplus of lumber. You can bet on it. And the reason I know that is because all the components of housing are high, including financing. There aren't many new housing permits or mortgage loan and applications going on. So the housing market is slowing down itself. All right. And this one is gasoline, and we have kind of an overlay chart, so you can kind of see what's going on here. And this one is gasoline versus crude oil. Now, normally, there's a one-to-one relationship because of the amount of refineries. If the refineries are the same, you basically make gasoline out of crude. You go through several steps. Now, here's the problem. Crude is not nearly at an all-time high, but gasoline is at an all-time high. And this is the gasoline before idiot governors tax it. I won't mention the gruesome one's name, but still. This one right here tells you that refinery margins are high, okay? Because gas is a derivative of crude, so the refining margins are high. If you need a lower gas price and you have a higher gas price with a lower crude price, if you're a refiner, that's just great. When it goes the other way, it's not so good. But I worked for a refiner, as a matter of fact, and profits kind of did like that. Anyway, this is Valero Energy. This is number one refining company, and you guessed exactly that it would be on a tear because refinery margins are great. There's a shortage of diesel, a shortage of gas, in some places, and to fill up a tank in your truck now costs $1,000. What do you think about that? This is what I think about that. Vote out the incumbents, please vote them out. Please, I ask you, I beg you. Okay, so we're on to the next one. This is a big oil index. Now, these are the companies that all professional politicians love to hate. And probably they should love them because they get all their money from them too. So, they just pretend to hate them. But the big oil index is companies like Exxon, and they are all reaching new multi-year highs. This is a sign that oil prices and gas prices, unfortunately, are going up. And I hate to bring you that bad news, but, someone has to bring you at least accurate news. All right, this is the symbol of this is BOIL. I didn't put it on here, but this is actually natural gas leverage. And again, I talked about trading and how important it is to make bets and leverage those bets and all that because it drives the profits of Wall Street. Well, here's an example of a leveraged fund in natural gas. I don't know. The demand must be pretty good because there's a lot of trading in it. But this shows you that natural gas has also been on a tear. And this made several island tops, which I've said before are significant to the extent that they happen in the opposite direction of where you're going. In other words, you make an island top in an uptrend, it usually continues up. It's not going to reverse it. But if you make an island top and you're in a downtrend, watch out. Okay. So in this case, the last volatility there in the blue box, the blue rectangle, is because of an explosion at one of the facilities. I think it was in Texas, and it's going to be offline for 3 weeks. The problem with that is if LNG ends up going to Europe, it lowers their price. If it stays here, it lowers our price. So we have a dilemma here. How much do you give them? And they close the Russian pipeline. So this is all political football and subject to news sensitivity. One of the reasons I would not get in this is because just about everything is subject to the news. Some kind of news and some kind of interpretation, and you don't know what that's going to be. So you got to be careful. And this is ExxonMobil. This company used to be the largest company in the world in terms of market cap. It was worth $500 billion or so, maybe 700. But eventually, just in the last 6 months, it's gained that $500 billion. It's at a brand new all-time high. And it was king of the world at one point, king of the world. All the oil companies were, and now they're nothing, except they're going to be something because they're all on a tear. The only thing you can say about them that is somewhat cautionary is that they're way too high above the tear and that they're due for a pullback. I don't know that I'd say there's anything that says these guys aren't screaming. I just say that maybe now's not the right time, that you need to give them a little time to kind of consolidate their move. Then maybe that's the time. But we'll see how that transpires. Okay, and here's another thing. Silver. Silver doesn't look very good. I mean, it had a little bump on today, on Friday. But I'll tell you this. Its support is 22. It's below 22. It's kind of dangling there. I think that's very bearish for the economy. All the ingredients are right for silver to soar, gold to soar and all that. And they don't. Why? There's only one reason I can think of. The economy is going to be really bad. That's what I think the lesson and the message and the takeaway here is. All right? Here's gold, same thing. It's just right at the trend line. It bounced a little bit. It could be like, a little bear flag. I just don't know. I mean, but the thing is, it's also subject to world events. And so it's very risky to go long, to go short. The individual stocks of the gold miners don't set up right. And so, and here they are. This is called the Gold Bugs Index. It's a bunch of silver and junior miners. These are the companies that you might want to buy if there was a bull market in gold, ever. But in any event, they're holding right above the trend line. They may bounce. That's true. They may not. And if they don't, that's really bad. So keep that in mind. This is not good either way. I mean, there's nothing here that I can tell you that I can take away that's good out of this. All right, the password formerly known as Bitcoin for 5 years. And this is one of the reasons that I think it is kaputski, that you can stick a fork in it. If there was something to stick a fork into, that is. I mean, I don't know what you can do with a password and a fork. God, I crack myself up sometimes. If I were a woman, I'd be all over me because of the humor, the good looks, everything. Oh, God. And the modesty, too. Okay. All right, so this guy looks like he's broken down, and he looks like straight down to 20,000. That's going to be a little bad news to some of the folks that we're going to roast coming up in a minute, but that's not good. And here's really a more important graph. Ethereum has violated the 1750 level of support. I've been saying this for at least a week. I even did a chart of the day on it, that Ethereum must hold 1750. It's really the only thing that's likely to survive. Okay? Ethereum has real customers. But the thing is, the reason I'm so down on cryptocurrencies, I'll try to explain one more time. This is the reason why. They're for trading. They have no function. Okay? And when you buy a token, like an Ethereum token, okay, imagine you go to a Dodger game and you get tickets. That's an Ethereum token. You're not buying in the Dodgers. You're not buying part of the Dodgers. You're buying a ticket to sit at a game. That's all you're doing with the Ethereum token or Bitcoin token. You buy the right to sit at a game. Okay? Now, what makes that so damn valuable? I don't know. It's a password. It's a ticket. It's a token. I will say it's a password for the rest of my life, and I'll get a cool shirt with Bitcoin as a password, and I'll be happy till all of you know Bitcoin's a password, a password, a password, a password. And if Frankie Valli is still alive, and I don't know if he is, great idea for a musical. All right? So we're going to go on here to Coinbase, everybody's favorite crypto broker. Coinbase, I don't want to talk about that too much here, but Coinbase is known among users of crypto that it really uses its own house coins. In other words, the whole idea of stable coins is to enforce your trading through that platform, because they won't take dollars. They only will take dollars to get Tether or a stable coin. So you can't buy dollars. You can't use dollars to make the trade. You have to buy Tether. There's one transaction, okay? Then you have to use Tether to buy whatever, and that's another transaction. And it just increases the transactions and fees. And that's why I keep saying it's all about the fees. It's all about the profits. It's all about churning. It's all about that. None of it has to be about you making a good investment. It doesn't qualify as a good investment any more than a Dodger ticket does. Okay? It's not an investment. It's basically a gambling tool. All right? I'll get my soapbox here. I get so worked up about this. Sometimes it's just a hate mail, which I get, which means I'm getting under somebody's skin, which is good. All right, so MicroStrategy, Michael Newentown Saylor's company. What do I say? I compared it to Bitcoin, and he hasn't even performed. He's so underperformed Bitcoin. Why did he embark on this strategy? $4 billion in debt. Okay? No, I'm sorry. He has $2.4 billion in debt. About a 3.9 billion in assets of Bitcoin only. What does that mean? Does that mean the rest of the company is worth minus? That he's basically diminished the value of the company completely? I don't know, but I can tell you this: Bitcoin's going to a lot lower, and he's going down with it. And the whole way he's going to say, "I believe in Bitcoin. I believe. Just all the way." All right, Marathon Digital Holdings. I put this in because it's a blockchain. They mine Bitcoin. What mining means, it's using a bunch of electricity through a bunch of hooked up computers to generate the blockhead chain. Okay, and basically between mining, which would be about the 14th largest country in the world if all the electricity used from mining was used by one country. Okay, that's how high it is. Then you add on the electric vehicles, which we know need no power because a congressperson or a senator Debbie from, and I don't remember her last name, I think it's Staplehorn or something like Staplehorn, but she said, I don't know why people are so upset about gas. I have an electric car. She doesn't know why people are upset about it. I don't even own a car and I'm upset about it. Because, you know why? It takes money out of your pocket. Her, she doesn't understand that it doesn't come out of your tailpipe. That doesn't make it good. It comes out of the exhaust of the power plant. That's where the exhaust is, okay? It's not eco-friendly, or it's in China. You ever seen people in Beijing walking around like they're scuba divers? Basically, that's what you got to do with a flashlight on your little scuba diver hat, so you can see through the tunnel. Before I get too much more on my soap opera, I got to stop this. All right, so now we're going to go to, this is Grayscale's, the formerly known as Bitcoin Trust, or it used to be called the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, versus, I think we did it versus Bitcoin itself. And, you can see Grayscale has gone down. The password has gone up over the same period of time. What's the difference? It has to be fees. What else could it be? It has to be fees. And this is the Grayscale large cap fund versus the Bitwise or Pound Foolish large cap fund. And I wanted to answer a question. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the worst performing multi-cap crypto fund of them all? All right? And look, it's pretty evident on the chart that the one in pink, which is Bitwise and Pound Foolish, has gone down much faster than even the Grayscale. So, if you have to select among the worst, at least you know which worst is worst. But these are so bad, it's not funny. They don't expose you to anything except going broke, as does MicroStrategy. Oh, we expose everybody to Bitcoin, through our stock. No, you don't. You make them bankrupt. All right. And to show you what it's like to be traded, when trading rules a day, you come up with this. This is SARK. SARK is short ARK, which means that you are short stupid stocks all in a bundle. But the reason is somebody didn't believe in the thing, I don't think. I think it was just another way to bet and to gamble. And here's your proof right here. ARK 2 times leverage, also known as TARK. And that's very recent. We don't have a lot of trading history. But can you believe that you would leverage a portfolio of stupid stocks that for one own already leveraged stupid stocks like MicroStrategy, which is already leveraged play on what? The password formerly known as, that's what you got. You got so much leverage on top of so much leverage, you will go to zero. You heard it here first, I hope. Because I don't know if anybody even knows this thing exists. Oh, God. All right. So now we're going to go on to the, where the action is, and this is in the big boys, okay? So Apple is getting into the financial services business. They're really promoting their wallet, the Apple Pay, Apple Card. They're making it like a credit card, and they're going into financial services. They're in every business, so why not? They also have claimed to go into the robocar business too. We'll see. They said at one time in a big announcement, and nothing since then. But we'll see. The stock shot up by $500 billion upon the announcement, but we don't know. We don't know a thing about what they're going to do. We just know that when Apple does something, they tend to do it very well. They are not a slouch company. They do things well. And so, you've got to expect that if they say they're going to get into this business, they're going to get into it in such a way that it's going to create an impact. It may not dominate, but it'll create an impact. So that's a very serious threat, or a serious, indication. Alphabet owns Waymo. Waymo is a company I mentioned a little while ago that has already operating robo-taxis, okay? Already in operation. Google, by definition, they own YouTube, which is probably worth at least $1 trillion by itself. Then you tack on Waymo and some of the other things they own. This stock isn't that badly valued. I mean, it's a ton of individual stocks and all that, but and the growth rate has slowed down, but it's not that bad. And we have a target of $2,000 for it. It's almost hit that target already. So I don't know that we're going to get a lot out of it, on the way down. There are other things that look more overvalued. Amazon, that could be one of them. Amazon is going down in a hurry. That's a big cap stock. Okay, now, Meta Platforms. What can I say? Mark Zuckerberg's company, the holding company for Disgracebook, Instascam, and What's Crap. And once again, Meta's being sued for lying. They lie about fact checkers. They lie about everything. They knowingly have emotionally damaged teenage girls. Knowingly. Okay? It was an accident. Oops, we damaged somebody's mental health. No, knowingly they did it for the love of profits. You gotta love Skidmark himself. May he be tried in The Hague. Alright, so I'm going to show you here an actual conversation of what took place between one of Skidmark's army of bots on his dating site. Okay, all of them say the same thing. Do you have WhatsApp? Do you have WhatsApp? Do you have WhatsApp? They're bots, and here's how I can show you. First of all, they use a man's name, but they usually appear to be Asian women. The reason I'm thinking that they prefer to look like Asian women if they're not, which I don't think they are, is because who suspect an Asian woman of being a scammer or a bot or something like that? That's what I believe or I'm inclined to believe. But anyway, here's the conversation with Dave and I. I matched with Dave. Okay, Dave. So first thing that a lot of them say, and I would say hundreds of them say, they'll say, "Hi, your profile looks great. Is that you?" Okay, so I usually say, "No, it's not me." In this case, I said, "You prefer Dave or David?" And I don't have WhatsApp. I don't have WhatsApp. No, I don't have WhatsApp. So I say it really, really emphatically. Okay, and then the next question is, "I'm looking for a real relationship here. Blah 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 blah. Are you really something like?" They basically have read nothing. They just have a canned response. So I say, "No, I'm not real, no." And then basically I say, "I don't have WhatsApp, I don't have WhatsApp, I don't have WhatsApp." I can say it 20 times. And then, of course, you come back with the, "Do you have WhatsApp? You must be real." How unreal can I be? Okay, how unreal can I be? And you know who's behind this? Skidmark himself, because he wants you to go to WhatsApp, which he owns. Now, in all fairness, I'm going to say today that they're requiring selfies on here to verify who you are. And if they really stick to that rule, then you're not going to see anybody on there at all, because they're all Nigerian scammers as far as I can tell. All right, so continue on after that horrible conversation that you just saw. And I have thousands like it, thousands, that I won't bore you with them, but they're so stupid that it's amusing. All right, anyway, Microsoft is another large mega cap company. It's forming a rounded top, and its target is $150. A lot of the reason the NASDAQ is going to go to the level it will go to is because some of the big cap stocks are going to drag it lower. The stupid stocks have already done their thing. They're already a lot lower. They don't care. They don't matter too much. But the big cap stocks do, and they're way overvalued. They became way overvalued. They're still overvalued. They have a lot further to go down, and you have no way of knowing if they're going to go to undervalued and really, traverse the spectrum from over to undervalued. You just don't know that. The Fed has not allowed it in the past, but the Fed may not have the bullets to do it. We'll see. All right, so let's go to, we're going to go to the EV sector. This is NIO. Okay, this is a company that's already selling 25,000 vehicles a quarter, okay, in China. So if Musk thought he was going to get somewhere in China, he's not, because these guys are still making cars and they're not as expensive, blah, blah, blah. So we'll see. This is far along. Even though it's come down, it's still worth money. It's still worth $32 billion. And it's already selling cars. So this is a real company, and it might really be a good competitor to our favorite company in the world, the Messla. All right. So Nikola, I wonder where they got their name. This is a company that sort of patterns itself after Elon the Felon because they go after government funding, okay, government subsidies. If it weren't for the subsidies that Elon the Felon got and the carbon emissions credit and all that, he'd barely be profitable in the last couple of years. Okay, it's the government that basically keeps him afloat. Okay, with the subsidies on the cars and all that kind of stuff. Basically to encourage green energy because we're so worried about climate change. Okay, in any event, Nikola is these guys make trucks. I mean, really big, like those long-haul trucks. I can't imagine an electric motor pulling one of these things, but they do. And they qualify for subsidies of up to $185,000 per truck used in New York. New York has a voucher program to encourage the use of trucks that are electric. I don't know if too many companies make electric trucks, to be honest. This is one of them. I think they just produced their first one, a couple of months ago. I don't think they have the ability to produce a whole lot of them yet, but if they get that kind of subsidy, they should give it a shot because that's a lot of money per truck. All right, Ford, I put in here, not because it's an EV company. It's kind of a hybrid between it was a stupid stock, which I've, highlighted in red. When they announced that they were getting in the EV business, their stock shot up, like saying they just invented .com or something like that, okay? Or they're now cryptocurrency. It just shot up, became a stupid stock. I think the investors were looking at themselves and going, why are we up here? We don't belong up here. It's rarefied territory. And the stock just came down. A big island top, and the stock has come down ever since. EVs are not going to save the world. They're not even going to save the companies. They're going to actually harm people unknowingly. And people are going to support them and say, oh, they're so green. Oh, yeah, they produce some green, but not the kind of green you're thinking of. That's the problem. All right, this is a company called Fisker. They have reservations for 50,000 SUVs already. It's not that big of a stock. It's not a well-known company. But as I said, the Messla has a lot of competitors. They're not going to maintain a 75% market share. They're not. They're lucky if they end up with 25 or 30. They may have been first on the block, but they may be first off the block. If the reports are true that their technology is bad, they might go the way of MySpace. After all, we'll see. All right, the Lucid Group is a company that makes very luxury, high-end SUVs. The SUV market is incredible for electric vehicles. Hummer apparently is sold out too. Okay, Hummer has an electronic Hummer, and that's sold out. This company is still worth $32 billion, and they also have orders from actually Lucid has a bunch of orders. They have probably what some of the car magazines consider the best car. A 500-mile range on one charge in 20 minutes. You can't see that in any other car. That's why this is more expensive, but it will appeal. It will appeal because it's got a lot of quality to it. This car is a true luxury car. The Tesla is very Spartan by comparison. At least that's what I've heard of what I've read. I don't have a Tesla, so I don't know. And this is Rivian. Rivian is another major competitor. It's supplying delivery vans to Amazon. Okay, that's a big customer of theirs, and they already have orders to start producing vans and trucks like crazy. And this is a company that may survive. It's 10% owned by Ford, so they've got a big brother. Okay, let's go on to the bank index. We're going to go to some of the final things that we're looking at. The bank index looks terrible. I mean, it looks really terrible. That's what I meant when I said everything's in sync on the downside. Look at banks, too. Banks, technology, cryptos, you name it, all going down. Broker-dealer index, same exact thing, going down like crazy. Nothing to like here. JP Morgan, world's biggest bank, not doing too good. Sorry, no one to thank. All right, Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs has violated its horizontal line. Its target, using our little rule of thumb technology that we've invented using my 47 chip. All right, target $200 right there. Okay, that's a pretty good leg down. All right, and this is, speaking of Target, this is Target, the French retailer that sometimes has stores in the USA. And they have warned that inventory needs to come down because people stopped shopping about a month ago or so. Wonder why? Because they ran up their credit, they had no money left, and they were getting stimulus checks every couple of months. That's why. Okay, and there's nothing to buy anyway. What are you going to buy with them? So they end up with excess inventory. They got to run that stuff off or sell it to the 99-cent store, whatever they do with that stuff. And Target has also had declining margins because they can't pass on the full additional cost to their customers. So right now, the customer is squeezed, has no extra liquidity, and Target can't pass on the price increases. So they start not performing very well, and they just fall right off a cliff. Same thing with Costco, same exact reason, same exact chart. Too much inventory, got to work it down. No good margins. Home Depot, a little different. It's in the do-it-yourself type of arena, and it looks like it's in a descending triangle, but I wouldn't be sure yet. In a bear market, things tend to break down. Your mistakes in a bear market are magnified. Your mistakes in a bull market are papered over, okay? So if you make a mistake in a bear market, it's going to be a big one, okay? If you make a mistake in a bull market, usually not so bad because something good happens and it takes your mistake away. Walmart shoppers are having the same problem, buy in bulk, but they bought too much and they buy a lot of Chinese products. And Chinese exports to here are down actually last month for the first time in a long time because of the lockdowns in their major ports. They've actually gone to lockdown status again. Do you believe that? If anyone gets a single case of COVID, the whole country just shuts down. Achoo! How do you like that? Okay, achoo! All right, KB Hunt is one of the most major truckers. They're really having a difficult time out there with all the logistics problems. This is one example of probably the biggest trucker. Matson is a shipper based out of Honolulu. Shipping companies have no ports that are open without a queue, so they have a problem too. UPS is one of the most important transportation companies. It transports goods and all that. And this is broken down too out of a bear flag. Bad news. That's all I got to say. Bad news. Big Pharma, we showed you last week. This is what's holding up the Dow. The Dow has Johnson & Johnson, United Health, Amgen, and I think Merck are the four big pharma big pharma stocks that are in the Dow. So they tend to hold it up. And if you look at Big Pharma here, it's looking pretty good. Bear market? What bear market? But the thing is, it too is starting to break down. And if this joins, and I think this is going to join the market on the downside, which is why I'm telling you, this will be, I think, the most destructive phase of the bear market. It's going to take your hopes that it's going to recover away soon, and it's going to bring with it depression and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just, you're not going to feel good about it. I've been through these before. That's how old I am. I keep telling you how old I am. I've been through this, okay? It's not fun. Dow Jones REAT Index, another thing which is not acting well. In an inflationary environment, normally you'd pick gold and real estate. Not this one. Why? Because the economy is going to hell. And also because houses are too high and mortgage applications have dropped and their mortgage rates are high. The Home Builders ETF, this one is the ETF of all the home builders, which is an amazingly important segment. And this too has broken down out of a bear flag. And the American dream of owning a home is vanishing before our very eyes. Vote out the incumbents before they let that happen. Please vote out the incumbents. Don't let this happen. And that was our last chart. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. We really want to bring you information that you want. So please leave a comment. Let us know. We'll respond. We're here for that reason. And see you next time. Thank you very much for tuning in.